Good evening, Move crew. Welcome. My name is Jenny, in studio here with Cory. We're going to give you a sneak peek of what our mobility classes here at Movement U look like. Working on some SMR, self-myofascial release. So grab that lacrosse ball, that foam roller. Working from our toes to our nose, we decided today, getting into all of those nitty-gritty spots that we're feeling might need some help. What's on the agenda? Starting with our movement prep first, then we'll get into lower body self-myofascial release, then we're going to do some movement prep for those shoulders, and then we're going to dig those guys out too.
Yeah.
Sound good?
It's going to be a good time.
It will be a good time.
Suck. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable for the next 30 to 35 minutes, we'll say. We'll try to keep it in that range.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna beat some stuff up today.
Definitely.
Yeah, try to increase some mobility.
Increase mobility, increase that blood flow, get that body feeling nice and supple.
And supple, good word.
Supple. We like to feel supple here.
Everybody needs a supple body.
All right, let's start. Let's grab our lacrosse balls. I want one too.
You said movement prep first.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
all right, let's do that first then. Okay.
Okay, everybody, let's get into a lunge. Pick a leg, lunge it forward. You can drop that back knee onto the floor. What we're going to do here is just sort of oscillate in and out of that lunge. So pushing that knee forward over top of those toes. Drive the hips down towards the ground. Squeeze those glutes. Watching Cory here if you need a little bit of a visual on what's going on.
I'm going to do about 10 on each side. Trying to create a nice arch in that foot. You can see my knee is straight or even out to the side a little bit. We don't want it caving in. I'm breathing in as I back off. And as I exhale, I try to drive my knee forward over my toes as far as I can, keeping that heel on the ground. When I do the other side, I'll turn 90 degrees so you can get a different view of it. I have 3 more to do.
Nice. So working on just warming up our muscles in here, getting that nervous system fired up a little bit. It's always good to warm up that body first before getting into any movement patterns, so we're mitigating injury. We don't want to hurt ourselves here. Even when we're doing mobility, always good to warm up our stuff first.
My favorite things to warm up are macaroni and soup.
Why?
Because they're just awful when they're cold. Like, you can
That
eat
is
cold
true.
pizza, I can eat cold chicken, but I can't eat cold pasta or soup. I mean, unless it's a pasta salad.
Well, there you go.
Because that's cold.
Yeah, usually a sauce needs to be warm. Well, actually, no. That is false, depending on what the sauce is on.
All right, I got
Depending
a couple
what
more
you
on this
consider
side.
a sauce.
All right, last one.
Excellent.
Good.
Okay.
So back to that first side.
Back to our first side. And then I want you to lift your knee up off the ground this time. Plant your hands on either side of your foot to start. And then we're going to take that right hand. We're going to reach it up to the sky. And then we're going to thread the needle. So we're going to pull that arm underneath our other side, under that armpit. And then rotate, reach up towards the sky again. Trying to stack our shoulder blades at the top. Pressing that left arm into the floor, the one that's on the ground. So we're not just throwing that arm up and down towards the ceiling and the floor. We want to be actively pressing and rotating through our thoracic spine here.
And I'm getting some rotation through my hips, down to that foot as well. I don't want to be locked out there either. Let that body rotate all together. 2 more to do to get to 10.
Excellent.
Good.
Sweet.
I'll turn again. Do the other side.
Good. Switching out those feet, knee off the ground. Reach and rotate. Opposite side here. So you don't have to thread underneath your knee. We're not trying to pretzel you. We just want you to reach under that armpit of the opposite arm. And you can look up towards the sky here too to follow those fingertips. Good. Breathing always. Nice deep breaths here.
Last one for me.
Nice.
Excellent. Sorry.
As I hide behind you.
So when I'm doing that rotation, I can feel it in my hips. Why we
Yep.
call it a hip opener. Getting a little stretch in there as well. Hamstrings. My quads are pretty sore from a weekend full of activity, so I can definitely feel those quads working in that lunge position. But
Yep.
all in all, feels a little better.
Body's feeling a little more awake.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, let's start with some myofascial release now. Grab your lacrosse ball, put it underneath the arch of your foot, and then we're gonna just roll out. So trying to pick a bunch of spots along the bottom of our foot. Kind of lean down onto it. Dig into those muscles, into that fascia.
Seek and destroy, as we like to call it.
Yeah.
So you're putting a little bit of mild pressure down, pushing your foot into the ball. And when you find a nasty spot or two, we're going to hold it. And we're going to add pressure to that. You can add a little bit of perturbations, get that foot moving back and forth, up and down, side to side, around a little bit. Where you're trying to slowly increase more and more pressure. You can move those feet, you can kind of grab and extend with those toes. We hold these positions for at least 30 seconds. You can hold for a lot longer, but for time today, we'll probably do 30 to 45 seconds, and we'll probably do 2 or 3 spots on each foot.
Yeah, good one you can do just throughout the day too. If you're just sitting at your desk working, stick a lacrosse ball underneath there and just hold it in some spots, dig it out for a bit.
I mean, because most of us are working from home nowadays, nobody cares if your shoes are off at work anymore, right? Just let those funky feet out, roll them out, have a good time. It's got to be one of the best parts of pandemic. No shoes at work?
Yeah. No shoes at work.
Yeah, it's like great.
I mean, really, you could wear whatever you wanted.
Yeah. You could be sitting on like a pillow on the floor doing work. You could be in child's pose half the day. Whatever you need. All right, if you haven't moved on yet, move around a little bit. We'll find another spot. That was about 45 seconds, and we'll do it all over again. By the way, our man Reese is behind the scenes here. And Reese, can you start that timer for me so I can see how the clock moves? But also, every time we go live, Reese is putting a bunch of work together behind the scenes. You should see the camera and the sound setup we've got going on here. So anytime you see Reese, or even if you don't see him, go thank him on Instagram or somewhere else where you can get a hold of him for all the hard work he puts in to bring these live videos to you guys at home.
Yep.
And not just the live ones, but like that's what we're going to highlight.
I got some delicious spots in here.
Yeah, we got about 10 seconds left. I think that's an important thing to mention. You just called those spots delicious. If you look at doing this as a positive and use words like delicious instead of, painful or agony, you probably have a better time when you take this class.
Definitely.
Yeah. All right.
No pain, no gain. Except we don't want a bunch of pain.
So not at all.
So not at all.
No discomfort. No
The
gain.
cliche that we are going to talk about, we just debunked. There you go.
Yeah. Other side?
Yeah.
All right. Same thing on the other side. So you can destroy, find a spot. Take about 10, 15 seconds to figure out where you want to dig into and get after it. Now we have a whole foot and ankle mobility
We do.
class actually on our MUV, MUV, or MUVirtual.com. So if you are enjoying what we're doing so far,
Mm-hmm.
and you haven't signed up yet, go sign up. We have mobility programs for ankles, hips, shoulders, and more coming out all the time with
Yep.
different drills. But specifically, the foot and ankle one is already there.
Totally. And you can also shoot us out with, hey, I'm feeling these things here. Can you do mobility class for these specific problems I'm feeling? And we'll look into it and get back at you with things more geared to what you guys are going through as well during the pandemic. We want to cater to you guys, what you're feeling at home here.
All right, so that was one spot. That was about 45 seconds. A little more seek and destroy. See if you want to go back to that same spot. Maybe it's still feeling nasty. Maybe even just from a different angle you attacked it from before. Or maybe it's something brand new, and then let's start another 45 seconds. Now Jenny's working more the back side of her foot, closer to her heel, where for me, it's always just my arch closer to the top inside corner, kind of more towards my big toe that I'm always feeling it. And that'll kind of depend on both what your structure's like and what your patterns move like.
Yep.
So if you have a higher arch, that's probably where you're going to feel it some more. You got a flatter arch, you probably feel a little backside, more like Jenny's feeling it. Because if you compare Jenny's and my foot, I would say I have a much higher arch than you.
Oh, I'm very
Just
flat-footed.
naturally, yeah.
But I'm working on it.
Working on it.
I'm doing my best.
Arches are important. They
They
hold you
are.
up.
Yes.
One of the strongest structures in nature, did you know? An arch.
An arch?
Yeah. That's why there's always arches in nature.
Hmm.
Because they can hold themselves together. Lots of rock arches.
Nice.
There you go. That was more than 45 seconds, closer to a minute.
That felt nice, though.
Yeah. When I'm done on the ball, I like to stretch my toes around. I can like, practice creating an arch and grabbing the floor. But just movement around is a good idea. You can take a little walk. And then we'll move on.
Nice little rock under my foot there.
Yeah. Okay. Continue to move up the body, right?
Yes.
Kay.
Moving up the leg now. We're going to stay still on that shin area. Grab your foam block for this guy, or you can grab your lacrosse ball. Cory's going to do lacrosse ball. I'm going to do the foam roller. We're going to go on the outside of that lower leg here. So we're not resting on that big bony shin on the top. We're going to go on the outside of that leg. So from here, I always like to raise myself up a little bit to get a little more weight onto that leg. And then I just go roll up and down the side. What do we say, like an inch?
About an inch per second.
Yeah.
So you're not moving drastically
Yeah,
fast.
you're not throwing your limbs around.
So let's say your shin bone, from tip to tail is, let's just call it a foot. Should take you about, let's call it 10 to 12 seconds. Most people roll a little faster than an inch.
Yeah.
But it should take you about 10 seconds to get up and down, to get up or down, and then 10 seconds to reverse your course.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to do about 10 passes through.
However, if you have a lacrosse ball, it's probably not moving all the way up and down. You're probably doing a little more seek and destroy. You're finding one of those nasty spots.
Yeah,
You're
with the
putting
lacrosse
pressure,
ball.
dig in, and then a little perturbations, kind of cross-fibering that area is really good. A little more uncomfortable, of course.
Yeah, that's where your breathing comes in. Try not to make a pain face, or else we just associate uncomfortableness with pain. And you don't want to always have that. You want to just get comfortable with being uncomfortable. So try and stay super relaxed. Just breathe through it.
One of my favorite shirts actually says right on it, seek discomfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Profound.
Profound. It's a great class to wear, or a great shirt to wear, while you're doing this class.
It is.
Just remind yourself that you're going to be out of your comfort zone. And it's nothing to do but suck it up.
And you only grow from there.
So since
These are nice
Jenny's
and
doing
tight.
passes, she's going to be our metronome here. She's going to tell us when she's done. I'm kind of hitting my one nasty spot that I have in there, beating it up, and then playing a little seek and destroy, trying to find a new spot that might be tight.
Got one more here.
Doing it again.
Yeah,
There we
that's good. Cool. Switch it over.
Excellent.
Other leg. Move that ankle around if you want to, just like Cory has. Feel that blood flowing in there, how nice that feels. Sit up the other side. I feel like a crab trying to walk here. Definitely getting a little more feedback on this leg than the left. My right guys are a little tighter, I think.
I would agree. My right side was tighter than my left. Probably that's because my stronger leg. That's my more powerful, forceful leg, my propulsion leg, so to speak. When I'm running or walking, it definitely does more work than the other side.
I would say me too. Right at the top there.
Yeah, right at the top and the outside, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of right where your tib anterior ends and the proneals are running underneath it. And you kind of get that back and forth over those two tissues. She gets a little more gnarly in there.
I'm going to do one more up and down, then we're good to go. So nice. All right, let's hit those quads.
All right, moving up to quads.
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to continue to use the lacrosse ball. Same thing, seek and destroy. Jenny's going to use the roller. She's going to kind of roll out the front side of her quads for 10, and then the outside of the quads for 10, and then the inside. So she's got it nice and easy. There's a good pattern to follow. If you're using the ball, it's a little trickier. You may not know what's tight. So I'm going to give you two options. One is the inside here. You can kind of see, hang on, this teardrop shaped muscle. Right up in there can get nice and gnarly. So that would be a spot I would pick if I was on my lacrosse ball. And the other side, since I'm here, is to the outside, right up here. Kind of, you can, hang on. There you go. You can see my underwear line.
Shorter shorts.
Yeah, right there. That's where we're going. So I'm kind of going the outside sweep, right on the outside of that muscle where it ends, kind of where it would be attached, or excuse me, not attached, but running in line with my IT band, right where that connection is between those two tissues. Gets a little gnarly. So there's two options for you. You may find other spots that are a little nasty, but those were the two that I would go after if I just didn't have time and wanted to pick a couple things to work on.
Nice, yeah.
Cool.
Foam roller is the 180, getting all sides of those muscles.
Yeah.
Start with the front side.
Yeah.
Set yourself up. I do it kind of like a Spider-Man crawl, my one knee out to the side, kind of on my forearms like in a plank. And then again, take it nice and slow, rolling up and down.
Meanwhile, on the ball, I am just going to lay here in half fetal position. Got my hand beside me or behind my back. My other hand is my pillow. Again, kind of Spider-Man or half fetal with that leg, and then I'm just digging into that spot. There's not a lot of movement from me. I could roll on the ball like Jenny's doing with the roller, but it is a little too uncomfortable for me, so I choose to pinpoint the spot I want to work on when I use the lacrosse ball. The hard part now is once I get comfortable in that position, I lock it down. I'm going to bend that knee and then straighten gently. And you can do this on the roller as well if you find a nasty spot. So.
Yeah, I was going to say, mine's kind of getting close down to the connection point on my knee. I find when I pull my heel into my glutes and pump them back out, kind of gives a little extra dig into those fibers.
Now, because you can get a lot more weight on this tissue as well, we'll go back to what Jenny was talking about before, that breathing. Really make sure you're controlling your breathing here. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Take it slow. If you don't control that breathing, you'll get tighter, which will cause more discomfort, likely more restriction, and then you won't want to roll out, and then you miss all the benefits of what we're doing here. So the breathing is first and foremost one of the most important things that we're going to do here.
Relaxing that nervous system. right, sweet. I'm gonna go on to my outside leg now.
So you're switching to the other leg or the other position?
Just the outside of that same leg.
Okay, so I'm going to do the same thing, but I started outside, so I'm going to go inside.
Okay.
So I'm staying on the same leg, finding a new spot.
Sounds good. So with this guy, I'm just setting up lateral on those quads, kind of digging into that TFL spot, into that lateral part of our muscle as well. And I've got my right leg crossed over my left, just to give a little more weight. My hips are more stacked that way. Get some more weight and drive into that muscle.
And how are your legs feeling, Jenny? Because I know you were out snowboarding yesterday.
You know, I didn't really feel the soreness in my quads, but rolling them out is like a whole other ball game here. I'm feeling them firing up for sure. But with every pass, it's calming down. It feels so nice. But plowing through that powder takes a toll. Okay, I'm gonna do one more, and then I'm gonna switch to the inside of the same leg. Get that medial portion on the foam roller. Inside's definitely not as tight as the outside. For me. Still breathing over there, Cory?
Barely. Oh.
All right, one more for me on the inside, then we'll switch the legs up.
All right, I'm switching legs as well. I'm going to start with that high spot, same as I did on the other side.
Okay, yeah, I'm doing front side of my right quad now, kind of in that Spider-Man position.
Ugh.
I kind of like to start with the slow rolling up and down on the foam roller first until I kind of find that gnarly spot. Then I'll rest on that guy and flex my knee right there.
Yeah, because that foam roller is a little gentler than the ball, it allows you to do a little bit of both. You can do some pinning down and be right on top of some tissues. You can cross fiber a little bit by rotating that leg, of course bend the knee and stuff, but you also can roll out, where of course the ball doesn't give you as much of that option. It's pin stuff down and maybe a little rolling, but I couldn't imagine rolling out my whole quads with a lacrosse ball, which makes the roller a more versatile tool if you were choosing between them at home. But if you have both, that would be great. Or if you don't want something as hard as a lacrosse ball, going for a tennis ball. It's got a little squish to it.
Yeah.
Works as well. I would say a racket ball is a little too squishy. And then, of course, you can always get some different size balls. Like a softball works really well, specifically for some of those muscles that are more indented than protruding.
All right, I've switched to the lateral side of my right leg.
Cool.
For everyone following at home.
That side feels pretty good. I'm going to go inside, switch it up as well, because the inside's always a little bit worse for moi.
For you. Yeah, it's good to notice on yourself differences between legs. And just kind of what you're feeling kind of fun to see if it changes or if it sticks around from day to day.
Well, and we talked about this in one of our
We definitely
classes
did.
on the website, is if those patterns are staying the same and you're always tight in the same spots, it's likely because of posture, alignment, and movement patterns and their dysfunction or where you're compensating. So if you notice it's always the same and it's causing you problems or maybe even pain, it's probably something you want to look into either through an osteopath, a physiotherapist, a manual practitioner of some kind, and then, of course, even a personal trainer who can help work on your motor patterns and make sure you're not compensating as much throughout the day, causing some of that tonic stress or tightness in your muscles.
I've gone ahead to the inside of that right leg now here.
Oh.
Yeah, it is a cool thing about your body. It remembers the movement patterns you do a lot. And so it makes it easier for your body to then repeat them day to day using less energy. It's when it becomes, when there's pain, you know, that's your body telling you like something is not right. Definitely time to check it out.
Yeah, and those same patterns over and over again can be either good or bad.
Exactly.
So if they're bad patterns all the time, you're slowly beating yourself up. And if they're good patterns all the time, you're probably mitigating some injuries.
Yep.
Especially soft tissue ones.
Yeah.
All right, butt stuff.
Butt stuff. Okay.
Let's roll out the glutes.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Get into our piriformis specifically with this figure 4 Cory's in. I'll show you it on the foam roller here. Kind of leaning more onto that lateral side tissue when we're on the foam roller. Cross the left leg on rest on top of the
other leg.
Right knee.
There you go.
Sorry, guys.
Whatever leg you're rolling out, cross that one over top.
Here we go. I had
Joanna, it's okay.
human body dyslexia at this moment. What's right and what's left? Cool. And then we roll along the
Yeah, and if you got
roller.
the roller, you're rolling a little more vertical. You can do the same with the ball, but the ball gives you that cross fiber ability. So I'm going a little more side to side, which is a little more uncomfortable, a little bit rougher. And then, of course, if I find a spot I can pin it down, I can start to move that hip around while pinning it. And you can do the same with the roller. But again, like we talked about with your quads, roller's a little gentler. So up and down's a good way to start. But then if you find something, pin it down, beat it up a little.
Yeah. And there's a lot of deep muscles in our gluteal area as well. All those external rotators are pretty close to the joint underneath your big gluteus maximus and all those big fibers. So the lacrosse ball is definitely nice to dig deep and get into those little guys.
They're the rotator cuff of the hip, so to speak.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to do one more, and then I'll switch legs.
Oh, I'm about to roll over my mic. Reese wouldn't like that very much.
No. Don't break the equipment. Yeah, this is definitely a very comfortable position for me on the foam roller.
Yeah.
It's not super aggressively digging in. So if that's what you're feeling, switch to that lacrosse ball. If you want, try it out.
It's a totally different game on the lacrosse ball.
Totally different game,
It's like 10 times increase in pressure. 10 is not an actual scientific fact. I don't know if it's 10 times, but it feels like that. So after this, we're moving up the body towards our shoulders.
Yep.
And personally, the reason I like to do my lower body first is because I'm in this position a lot, right? We're shrugged. Our posture's not perfect. We're on the ground a lot, putting weight into our shoulders. So if I started with my shoulders and I made them feel nice and good, and then I went and did my lower body after,
Yeah,
I
and
might
you're holding yourself
finish
up.
holding myself up for the next 20 minutes, and that might tighten them back up if I'm not in good position. So I like to finish with my shoulders for that reason.
Yeah.
Yeah. So since we're going to shoulders, we're going to do some movement prep for the shoulders, just one drill. We're going to do some floor slides, and then we're going to beat up the back side. And then Reese is going to give us a heads up. If we got some time left over, we'll beat up the front side, and then we'll call it a day.
Yeah.
Okay. So
Awesome.
some floor slides. I'll go ahead and do them, Jenny, if you want to cue me through it.
Yes. All right. So we're going to lay all the way down onto our back. We're going to tuck the tail in so our lower back is on the floor. No arching in the back. We want to be nice and everything pressed onto the ground. We're going to take our arms out beside us, trying to lay our forearm and the back of that hand onto the ground. Then we're going to reach up first, making a nice big Y. And then we're going to pull down, trying to keep our hands and our forearms dragging it along the ground as much as we can. If they pop off the floor, that's okay. Still go through that movement. It's just meaning you are restricted in that external rotation. I am definitely like that. My arms are basically
like
floating.
that.
Yeah, my arms basically float up and down when I do this. And that could be restriction in the front, holding you internally rotated. Could be something going on in the back that's too tight, holding you forward, like your lats or something, or your traps.
And a lot of times you'll find when the elbows drop, you'll want to arch, and that's where that core comes in.
Yep.
So you can't compensate, because it's really easy to keep my arms down if my hips or my ribs come up. So make sure those are both down the whole time.
Yeah, keeping that lower portion of our body flat onto the floor.
And let's do 10 of these, since we did 10
Yeah,
before.
we'll do 10
Okay,
floor
so
slides.
I'm already
yeah.
halfway through.
Yeah, up and down. Then bring it, kind of tuck them into your body, your elbows, and then press them back up again.
I like to think I'm doing a pull-up.
Yeah. Nice.
Last one. I mean, that alone is a good mobility drill. I can get a stretch through my chest. I can start to feel my external rotators kick in. And I can feel where my lats get tight, right? Where they want to compensate for that pulling down motion. And they take over for some other muscle groups.
Yeah, so even when you're doing those too, if you're feeling a spot where you're like, oh, I can feel the pull happening right there, you can hang out in that position.
Absolutely.
Let gravity pull those arms down, breathe through it a bit, move it around. You can also kind of oscillate, jump up and down in that position.
Yeah.
Also works too.
Okay.
We're going to get after it with
lacrosse ball?
our lacrosse ball.
Yeah. So I'm going to tuck this guy under my back. I'm going to go on the inside edge. I'll do the left side here, so the side closest to you guys. Just on the inside lower tip of that shoulder blade. So I'm going to find it. I'm in between the shoulder blade and my spine. I can actually feel the edge of my shoulder blade. I don't want to compensate and kind of roll off the ball. I try to keep my core tight, stay right on top of that ball, so there is some work being done through my trunk.
Yep.
And then I'm going to take my pinky to the floor. I'm slowly going to bring that arm overhead till my thumb touches. And that's when I exhale, because that's when it gets nasty. And then I'm going to come back down and inhale. It's a little nicer. And I'll do 5 of those. I mean, you could do 3, you could do 10, depending on the time you have. And then I'm going to roll that ball slightly up my back. And I'm going to do it again. And when I say slightly, because your shoulder blade's not that long, I'm talking maybe 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch. So it's just a very small roll.
Yep.
So I think it was 4, but I'll scooch. And now I rolled it up my back. And I'll do it again.
Yeah, a lot of muscles attached to your shoulder blade going up into that arm. We're so mobile in there. We need a lot of muscles around it to also help stabilize it. So by actively moving that arm up and down, having to engage a boatload of muscles helps us in that active, get those fibers fired up, push into them, and then as we release, hopefully all of it releases whatever was feeling tight originally. Now let's go again. After we release, and you get more of a, I don't know, calming sensation, feeling like those muscles are sort of relaxing a little bit further.
Less, I like to use the word tonic. So tonic means stretched under tension. There's a lot of that around the shoulder, especially if you're sitting a lot during the day and rounded forward in front of the computer.
Shoulders up in your ears.
And as I get up, at least for me, it gets worse. So as I continue to roll that ball higher, I start to get into some nastier and nastier spots. And the reason this is important, like Jenny said, it's basically a highway or a freeway running around that shoulder. There's just so much tissue, and it all over and underlaps.
Oh,
and it all has to move together.
Yep.
And even though we define it as, a ball and socket joint, it's not like your hip at all, where actually that ball is inside a socket. Your shoulder sits on that cuff more like it's a golf ball on a tee, and uses the musculature around it to stay in place.
Yeah.
Less like your hip. Like, it is extremely challenging to dislocate a hip. There's so much vacuuming.
Yeah, it's really sucked
in.
into that.
That doesn't happen in your shoulder.
Socket.
And I can vouch for that, having dislocated mine 3 times.
Yep.
So I'm probably on my second last spot here. So I probably hit about 4 to 6 spots on the way here. I mean, specifically in my last spot will be my 6th, but you could move that ball slower each time and get more reps in. That's fine. I'm getting about 6 different spots here. And I always like to describe right where somebody would put their thumbs in your back if they were giving you a massage, that nasty spot, that scap elevator. That is kind of your last spot that you're going to hit.
That's always a nasty spot for me. It's like dig in, it's like zing, all of the nervous system's like, hello.
Yeah, I would imagine Jenny is jealous right now.
I am.
Jenny's jelly that I'm the
Jelly.
one on the ball and not
Jelly
her.
Jenny.
Because her shoulders are in a little bit tighter shape than mine.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do a couple floor slides just to compare how one side feels to the other now. And my left side is my dislocated side. So I always like to point that out to people because this feels so much better, especially in this downward phase, than it did before. I'm not nearly as tight in that area. It's not feeling restrictive, whereas I can feel my right side is still quite tight, even tighter with my left. So I'll do the other side.
Yes.
And then after class here, Jenny will probably do it as well.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
So again, I'm not twisting my body, sticking my ribs out to the side. I'm trying to maintain a good strong midline, which means I almost have to suck that in kind of like a side plank. Keep that side bend out of it. And then I'm moving through this motor pattern. And it's not uncommon when I'm doing it even in this fashion for it to take maybe 3 to 5 minutes to get one side done.
Yeah.
Just because it's a lot of movement, and it probably takes me 15 to 20 seconds just to do one spot. And I'll move backwards before I start scooching too far away.
Yeah, whenever I'm doing this, my arm is moving minusculely just so I can breathe through that uncomfortableness and deal with it and then come back down. Doing that 5 times, it can take me 2 minutes in one spot. So I'm just chilling there like, yep, okay.
Yeah, as far as our in-house classes are concerned, this is one of our most hated yet requested drills in mobility class, this one that we're working on now. Funny how that works.
Yeah, it's one of those things you're like, I know I hate it and I don't want to do it, but it's the best thing for me, so I'm gonna do it.
It's like eating broccoli.
Yeah.
spots to go on this side.
Awesome.
We're getting into the nasty stuff. You can see my thumb doesn't want to touch the ground. And that's how you can tell I got two things. I got a little more probably muscle mass on my right side because I'm right-handed, so it does more work in all the sports I've ever played. And it's obviously clearly a little more restricted.
This one you can also do up against a wall, I'm just thinking.
Yes, absolutely.
You don't have to lay on the floor if you don't want to. Put a ball against a wall and chill there, press in. It's kind of nice to start with that because you're not fully resting your whole body on the ball. So if this was just like, no bueno, try it against the wall first. And then you can gauge the own force you're putting into it as well. I should have been doing that the whole time. My left side. I can feel it.
Awesome. All right. Couple more floor slides. Double check how it feels.
Yeah, so usually in our mobility classes we've filmed, we do a test and a retest. So we would do those first, check out our range of motion, what we got, and then we would do our myofascial release, then recheck and see how much range of motion we just got into our shoulders.
Yeah. Way better.
See, yeah, if it helped.
Way better.
Which it will.
Yeah. I don't know how much of it you can see visually, but when I'm doing those floor sides, they feel smoother. I can get more external rotation. My hands don't want to creep up the floor as much. They feel great. Reese, how are we doing for time? We got 5 more minutes or so? Okay.
Cool.
You want to do the front side of the shoulders?
Sure, yeah. Coach me through it.
Okay. All right. So again, you can do this on the wall. Wall gives you a little more control, but less intensity. We're going to make Jenny do it on the floor. So,
Sweet.
Jenny, I want you to get into that half fetal position.
Okay.
So you're going to have lying down on your belly.
Okay.
I want you to bring your left knee towards your chest, and your left hand is under your head. Okay? Before you put that there, put the ball on that your right pec. So up here, kind of right where your shoulder and your pec meet, you can see that line I'm creating in my t-shirt here. I want it just on the inside, kind of where that muscle mass of the pec is. Now, you can do this for the front of the shoulder as well. It's the exact same drill. And you can move that ball up here to that anterior delt if you like. Again, that's a huge traffic highway in there. It gets really nasty. Now, Jenny's already done this. She's put her hand behind her. You can see it here. I like it behind the back. So you want to bend that elbow and put it right behind your back. Yeah.
Ooh, yeah, that's extra.
Now you're really exposing that chest and that muscle to the ball. And then, of course, by being in half fetal, she's rotating into the ball as well, which puts pressure into it. And then she does her little seek and destroy. So she might have rolled around a little bit on it to find that nasty spot that she wants to pinpoint. And then when she does, she's good. I usually get people to lay like this for 20 or 30 seconds. Then I'll let them take the hand out from behind their back. And it's a little tougher on the floor, better on the wall. I'll ask her to do floor slides in this position while she beats up that spot. Again, taking that muscle through some contraction and some stretching while digging into it and beating it up. Just like a manual practitioner would do or a massage therapist. So if you can do that now for me, Jenny. So you can come off the ball if you need to. You're going to put your hand palm down on the floor.
This way?
Yeah. Now get back in position, put your head down, rotate into it. Now slide that hand up as high as it can go. Keep pressure down on that ball. And then pull that elbow down all while that ball is into the upper outside area of the chest or up in the front of the shoulder. And you're welcome to do both while you're down here. So after I've held that position for maybe 90 seconds or so, I'll do some of these, maybe 4 to 6, and then I'll flip around, do the other side. Of course, if you're somebody who's doing your your floor slides on your back and you're feeling a ton of stretch in that chest when you get into that Y position, you might want to flip over to your back here, do a couple of those again, see how one side feels to the other, see how much stretch you got going on, just so you can compare And the comparison's always nice because then you can see how much this has affected what you're doing. Jenny, you want to turn 90 degrees to your left for me so people can see a little of what you're doing here? There we go. So again, put that ball in position. One hand is a pillow, right? If you want your head a little higher, use your fist as a pillow or the back of your hand. Other hand is either beside you or behind your back. Again, that behind the back really opens that tissue, having your knee up and rotating into the ball to add some pressure. If you want more pressure, if you got a friend around, you can always ask them to put a little weight on your back, either by physical force or you grab a 5-pound plate or something, add some more weight to what you're doing. And then again, you just breathe, and we're going to hang out here for about 90 seconds. Then we'll take that hand out and do some slides again. How are we doing, Jenny?
Oh, so good.
Awesome sauce.
Awesome sauce.
Got about another 30 seconds here before I'm going to get you to move that hand around. Remember, breathe. It's the most important thing you do during this class. In through that nose, out through the mouth, especially when you're in discomfort. Get a good exhale. It becomes more important. Usually when you're uncomfortable, you try to hold it. Don't hold that breath. Let it go, especially when things get a little nasty and a little uncomfortable. All right, Jenny, slide that arm up and down for me a little bit. So you've got it in that kind of, again, pull down or pull up position, depending on what direction you're moving. And then just gonna slide that guy back and forth, trying to still rotate to her right to push her left chest into the ball as she kind of stretches into that Y position again. So after you've done about 4 to 6 of these for you guys at home, I want you to flip over to your back. I want you to do some floor slides again. See how the front side of the shoulder is feeling. See how the back side is feeling. We switched it up. We each did one of the drills, but you've done them all. So you should have a nice floor slide now. It should feel a lot better than it did the first time you did it. So go ahead and do a handful of those. So that's all we got for you today, guys.
It is.
Yeah. So that's a sneak peek into what we do here at MUV, M-U-V. For our mobility classes, we add a little bit more dynamic stretching, some distraction of the joints, a lot of retests, drills, and then a little bit of minor strength training or movement patterning to kind of make sure we're moving in a good non-compensated fashion so we don't get tight in the same spots again. So this is kind of just a long version of a sneak peek of what our class is about.
Yeah.
Cool.
Very cool.
MU crew, we love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us today. We will see you again soon. Take care.
Stay supple.